come on in. What's up, guys? This is my video for Marketing 410 and my project about analyzing how Coke and Pepsi have gone around to analyze different cultures and apply their commercials to them and how well they've been doing with that. The point of the video is to differentiate your stereotype about the countries of Australia, Brazil, China, and Spain and the truth that I've met through my research. We're going to look at this room real quick, and it's going to show me as an individual. So as you can tell, I'm a big fan of sports. I also enjoy my family and I have strong ties to them and my country and my friends. And I enjoy going out, as all these posters about the places that I've been through and the parties that I've gone to, kind of showing more of a laid-back personality and kind of an outgoing type of person. So Coke and Pepsi, the two companies that I'm going to analyze, have to do this for every single culture they want to apply a marketing strategy to. And this is a tough process, but they have to go around and do it to be successful. So let's go around Tampa real quick and see the international influence of the countries that I've mentioned, and we'll see how good and who's going to win the battle between Coke and Pepsi. Let's go. All right. So guys, here we are outside in the University of Tampa, fairly international school. And we're starting our trip to see around the city of Tampa how international it is and how some of the countries that I've mentioned are seen throughout Tampa and how we can all see that we have certain stereotypes about each country. I'd like to present my cameraman Brock, who's also going to be going along with this discussion with me. And first off, I'm going to start and ask Brock how important he feels for companies it is to adapt their commercials to the local cultures and to the local events. So the tsunami in Japan, and just the Spanish culture and the Chinese culture. So Brock, what do you think about that?
Well, I think you want to show empathy no matter what with any culture, with a disaster, and you want to show that you're connecting with them on a personal level. So I think it's really important to adapt your commercials and your marketing strategy to any company, to any culture.
So starting on the Spain focus, a lot of the new commercials, especially from Coca-Cola and Pepsi, have been revolving around Spain's recent sports success and especially their soccer success. So even though this isn't really an empathy situation, it is more a, do you think that companies really need to understand that, Spain is right now very proud of their soccer heritage? And do you think that's a right way to market your Coca-Cola product or your Pepsi product to all the Spanish people?
Oh, absolutely. Like if there's something that's that the country feels strongly about, it's very important to kind of play to that and make sure that people know that their country is feeling seen and known on a world scale by world companies.
So clearly you're going to agree on the fact that you need to have different types of commercials for every country that you're trying to market your product in.
Absolutely.
So that was the first point I wanted to go upon before actually going more specifically in each country. I would like all of you to try and think about where you might want to work and why, and try to think about how those products would have to advertise to you. Now that you're in a different country, they're going to consider you as a local. So that makes it even tougher for all these companies to try and advertise to you because you're an American in a different country. So how do they advertise to you? So all of you just try and think, do you want to stay in the United States? Do you want to go somewhere else? And where do you see yourself in a few years? So we're now out of the University of Tampa campus, and so we're kind of halfway through our journey. We're about to reach into downtown and see some of the international places that we can find out there that relate to either Spain, China, Australia, or Brazil. So let's keep on going on our international culture hunt. Now, another aspect that we have to look at in terms of advertising is how tough is it for a company and how much time does it take for Coke or Pepsi to break the stereotypes that we sometimes see about Chinese people, about Spanish people, Australians, or Brazilians. Now, in that list, I think the two main countries that we have stereotypes about are definitely Australia and China. So what are some of the stereotypes about Spain, which is going to be our first country, that you guys may have? So real quick, now we're actually entering into downtown Tampa. Not exactly your true international city that you may have in the United States, such as LA or New York or Miami, but still a city where there are cultures from other countries, and still a city that kind of flexes the American muscle with the skyscrapers and just the whole working area. It's like 8 a.m. and traffic is about as consistent as it is at night back home. So something that you don't usually see back home is traffic at 8 a.m. But that's because Europeans are lazy. That's a stereotype. So here I am in front of our first stop. It's the Spain restaurant. It's closed, but if you'd be able to see inside, it's actually quite Spanish. It's got all the Spanish colors going. It's white, yellow, and red. And it tries to eliminate all the stereotypes that certain people may have about Spaniards, that they're dirty, that they don't really take care of their food. The food inside is usually set up pretty clean. The floors are completely clean, and the menu is pretty authentic. And now that we're here and you can kind of see what Spain is all about, what do you think are the truths that Coke and Pepsi have seen through their research of the Spanish culture? So I'm going to list them real quick. And the ones that I came up with are that Spaniards place high value in what others think of them, meaning that they always have to try and look good and care a lot about their personal appearance. They care tremendously about their personal pride and honor, as well as have a strong regional identity. You may have heard of the clashes between Catalans and the rest of Spain and Basques and the rest of Spain. They feel more regionally attached than country attached. Finally, they have a strong sense of community and religion, meaning they try to help one another and truly believe in some of the Christian values. And rules and punctuality are something that they see in a slightly relaxed way. So for example, if Spain here was a true Spanish restaurant, if it said it opened at 8, it may open at 8:30 or at 7:30. Who knows? They don't think it's very important. So now that we've seen this, let's go over to a so-called Chinese place. But before, Brock, where do you see China in about 40 years?
About 40 years, I see China as a world power, truly economic force. Right now, they might not have the economic force to compete with even more industrialized countries like the EU or the United States. But China, just the fact that all of those people are there, 1 billion people, in 40 years, it could be 1.3, 1.4 billion. That's a huge power in any sense of the word, and companies would surely want to get into that market.
And now that we've covered that, do you think with its bright future and the long term, is it the market to concur to have under control right now for companies such as Coke and Pepsi?
I think people who are looking into long-term business strategies, yes. If you're looking for short-term, no. There's still other more profitable markets, but as far as long-term business, yeah, you got to get into China and Asia.
So right down here in the downtown restaurant area, there's a place right across the street that calls itself somewhat Chinese. It's one of its influences in its food. And as we're going to go there, I'm going to cover some of the Chinese stereotypes that some of us here might have. And no, not all their chicken is made out of rat meat. So we're going to look inside and see if they're able to adapt some of the Chinese and Asian true cultures instead of the stereotypes. So here I am in front of what is called Bamboozle Cafe. They have actually kind of Asian decoration. If you can see inside, it's bamboo based, which I guess in a way stems off the stereotype. But it's very clean as well. It's very simple. Food in China is not about the entire experience. It's more about what you're actually eating. And some of the Chinese truths that I've encountered through my research are that Chinese people refuse criticism, especially about each other or about other brands. So you will never see a commercial in China where a brand will be criticizing another brand, or else it will be very poorly perceived. Then they have strong ties towards family. Family and friends is very important to them. They are big about their hospitality and their reserve. They enjoy tremendously video games and any reference to it, as well as celebrities. And recently they've been developing a desire to copy, in some sense, some of the Western cultures, especially the youth. And in the youth, there has been an ability to become slightly more rebel recently. So that's, I mean, even though this is more Japanese than Chinese, you still see it in some crazy outfits, crazy hairstyles once they're out of school. And that is the new freedom that the Asian youth and the Chinese youth have been able to find in the recent years. So those are some of the truths, and we're going to see if they apply to the commercials with Coke and Pepsi. Guys, now that we're halfway through our world trip, if we're still going to call it, I'm going to ask Brock the final question of this segment, because he is an electronic media arts major, so he probably knows a little more about this than I do. Brock, what do you really think stays across commercials regardless of culture or current events or country?
I think strong ties to family, family and country are always important in a commercial. Showing the national pride of the locations in a country are important. Also, sex sells in any culture, maybe some more than others, but in most cultures, sex sells in any commercial.
Okay, and to that list, I'm going to add the use of celebrities, which, especially in recent years, has been strongly developing, even in countries where it used to not really be used. China is one of the better examples, and the Coke commercial is going to be able to perfectly exemplify this theory. Thank you. Is this what Brazil is really all about? No. So do you think all Australians look like Crocodile Dundee? I say no.
About 1,000 miles from the everyday, there's a place that's a bit more adventurous. And you don't have to catch a plane to get there, you've just got to think Australian. Come on into Outback Steakhouse, where our brand new menu is unlike anything you've ever explored, at prices that have travelled down under too. 15 meals under $15, starting at $9.95. It'll make you happier than a koala up a gum tree. Live adventurous. Go Outback.
How to speak Australian.
Oi! 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 Oi!
Social networking.
Oi!
Beer. Foster's Australian for beer.